Nice, here we go. How's it going, everyone? It's me, James Mitchell, and today I just want to go over my YouTube studio setup. Now I use the studio both for YouTube and for music. It's basically just my room. There's nothing massively special about it. But there are a few things in here that I would like to show you so that you may use your room as a studio as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Here I'm basically just going to be talking about all the equipment that I use to record these videos and my covers as well. So the first and most important thing that I need for recording videos is this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, coffee. Now I absolutely love coffee. I drink it every day, sometimes twice depending on the day, and yeah, it helps me. It helps me do music production and do YouTube and do a podcast. So first things first, since this is a music channel, let's get all the musical equipment out of the way. So one of the things I use in every single video is what's in front of me right now that you can't see but is off frame, is this, an SM58. It is one of the best dynamic microphones. I absolutely love Shure products, and in fact for a long time I used Shure in-ear monitors before I lost them. But that's far from the point. So yeah, of course, SM58 as my main microphone, and it is hooked up to an old Focusrite 2i4. Now, I got the 2i4 a very, very long time ago. I think this thing is probably like 4, maybe even 5 years old. And it has served me very well, yeah. Now, obviously, there's many different types of audio interfaces. That one I've just been using for forever, and it has worked massively well for me. Then another little piece of gear that some people might not really know that I own is this. It is a in-ear monitoring system. It's a cheap one I got off AliExpress. It's a little bit tinny, but it really works well when I need it to. It does its job pretty well. And speaking of in-ear monitors, these are what I use for in-ear monitoring. They are the KZ AS06s. They're very reasonably priced, and I use them for everything. Mixing, in-ear monitoring, listening to music, and even gaming, so they work really well for what I need. Now let's move on to my guitars. First up is my acoustic guitar. It's a Chord something or other, I can't remember exactly which model. And we've modded it to have a Mighty Mite pickup. And yeah, that's the acoustic guitar I use. It is drop tuned to D standard because all the songs I actually write are in D standard. Just because it's easier to sing, and sometimes songs are nice to play in a certain key, but you need to drop tune them for your voice because, you know, you can't always sing that high. Then we have this guitar, which is an SX Les Paul limited edition wine red. I modded it to have a P90, P94, I can't remember exactly what it's called, so that it would sound a little bit more like Lee Melia from Bring Me the Horizons guitar. I generally use this guitar for a lot of my lead and some heavier stuff. For the most recent cover I did of Prime Circle's Never Gonna Bring Us Down, I used it as a rhythm guitar because it didn't sound right as lead, and I actually used the next guitar as the lead guitar. And this next guitar is a fake Fender Telecaster. I got it off AliExpress quite a while ago, and it does its job pretty well. I generally use it for a lot of my rhythm and whenever I play at church, because it gives the right kind of tone that I need for stuff like that. And finally, we have the first guitar I ever owned, which is this Chord Stratocaster, which I have modded a little bit, and I'll explain it to you. So obviously you can see there's a whole bunch of stickers on here. There's lightning bolts on the frets. There's some just stickers on the body. And on the back there is my signature. Obviously it changed a little bit. And at the back I've removed that plastic cover there by advice from a friend of mine, Trent. And then we have this pick guard, which was custom made by my dad and myself using a laser etcher. And it's basically just some cheap acrylic plastic, and it gives the guitar a little bit more of a harsher, punkier sort of sound, which I was actually looking for with this guitar specifically. And because of that harsher, punkier sound, it's actually the main riff guitar for one of the songs I've written. I also sometimes in my videos use a Sanchez bass guitar, that is my dad's guitar, and I just use it more of it as a video prop. I use a plugin to synthesize all my bass sounds. And speaking of guitars, what would guitars be without an amplifier? I use a Marshall AVT 100, and it's probably one of the best amps that I've ever owned. I bought it a while ago, and I have not seen a need to change it or use any other amp for the foreseeable future. And for my effects, I use a Boss GT1. It is an incredible purchase I made a long time ago, and all the sounds I could ever need come right out of this thing. And it sounds really awesome, both live and when recording. And finally, for the music stuff, here's a little something that I use in my videos, and it's this thing. I don't actually play drums. I use this thing as kind of a prop so that, you know, I can get a little bit of drum footage in there, because sometimes I actually hit the notes all right, even though I'm not very good at drums. Not by a long shot. I'm not very good. But yeah, I use this thing. It's an Alesis Performance Pad Pro, and I actually program in all my drums with another plugin. Now, let's move on to camera gear and some visual stuff. So first things first, the camera I'm shooting on now is a Samsung S7 Edge. It's a phone. I shoot at 4K and just downres everything, because for some reason it doesn't allow me to actually upload the 4K footage as 4K footage. So all of my music videos I've shot on this phone and just edited them all together like that. Then for my webcam that I use for my gaming videos and my podcast videos is this thing. It's just a cheap 4K action cam or whatever. And the 720p at 60 frames a second looks really good when it's just plugged into my computer. It's the easiest camera to just plug into my computer and record. And I really enjoy the wide angle look. And yeah, it just works. I've set up a few different settings so that it looks good straight out of recording. And for the podcast, I have a preset that I've made for it, and it always to me looks good. I just mount it on this little tripod Gorilla Grip sort of thing, and I either set it up behind my monitor or just next to my monitor, depending on if I'm doing a podcast or if I'm gaming. Then it's this, an actual DSLR camera that I own. Back when I was in high school, I was really into doing photography. Obviously now with lockdown and everything, it's quite difficult to do photography. But this is the camera I would use, and I still use it to take some of my thumbnails. It is a Canon 350D, a very, very old DSLR, and on it is just your normal 18 to 55 lens. And I've used this for maybe 5 or 6 years, and it works perfectly well. I've just obviously had to learn how to edit photos properly and how to actually use a camera in manual. When lockdown's over, probably I'll do a bit more photography now and again, depending on what I can shoot. If I get anyone asking me to shoot for them, I might just use this camera, or if by the time I've upgraded to something more substantial, I'll use that. Next, let's talk about some lights. So the biggest change I made in my lights was that the lamp I generally use as my, main face light, I changed the bulb to a white bulb so that it gives a lot more of a cooler sort of look, because the yellow just was really difficult to just color grade out every single time. And if you go and look back at some of my older videos, you can see it is still very yellow. And now I've, changed the bulb so that it's more white and looks a lot better in my opinion. Then behind me, we have these two lamps that just give some light up to my guitars and just light the backdrop a little bit better. Then on my floor, going all the way around my room, damn it, dogs. So along my floor, I have this long LED strip. I can change colors, I can make it strobe, and I can make it smooth. I can do a whole bunch of things, but generally I would leave it on a single color. Man, my dogs are really barking today. Then I have two of these absolutely incredible pole lights. Let me show you what that looks like. It's these things. Now this is probably gonna look really weirdly overexposed and whatever. But yeah, these two lights have actually made the biggest difference in my little environment here. They're really awesome LED lights, and they really just make everything look nice. I set one over there just on my desk to give this wall a bit of light, and I set the other to my left so that I can have some more light on this side of my face. Then last but not least, I'm just going to talk about my computer. Now this is a little bit more of the nerdy sort of vibe, so I'm going to just put my specs here, and if you want you can skip past this part in the video. I first had a computer at the beginning of high school and eventually rebuilt it entirely, and I've since upgraded some parts, like I've added some more RAM, I changed the graphics card. So as you can see, this computer uses an i5-6500 with 6 gigs of DDR4 RAM, 2400 megahertz, a GTX 1060 6GB, and there are a few other specs, but I can't exactly remember them. And yeah, that's the computer I use. And I only have one monitor at this point in time. It is a Dell 23 inches, I think, full HD monitor. And of course I have my mouse and keyboard, but I'm not going to get too into detail with those. But yeah, that's it. that's all the equipment I use to make my videos and to do what I do. I hope you guys enjoyed this, a little bit of a change on this channel. I'm hoping to do more of this as well as still do some of my covers. So just at the end of this video, I want to say I am coming up with a bit of an update. You can go to my gaming channel to see the full length of it. I'll leave a link in the description. And it's basically just announcing my upload schedule and how I'm going to be moving forward with my channels. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, drop a thumbs up. And if you're new around here, subscribe. See some more stuff from me. But anyways, that's that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.